Hello everyone. Today I was talking with someone earlier today and they were asking me how to get started. This is for a young person, especially if you've just never done any canning or anything like that and you want to build a prepper pantry, or just be, and when I say prepper, I'm not talking about doomsday prepping. I'm talking about just being prepared for disasters or whatever, to have a stockpiled pantry. And so the first thing that I would suggest is to begin learning what equipment you're going to need if you want to do canning. And while you're doing that, start buying the canned foods, things like that you can have extras in a pantry, and, build you enough to last a week or to last 2 weeks or a month. And, make sure that you buy some canned meats and some canned vegetables and canned fruits, and let that be your beginning prepper pantry. And then after that, and once you've got an idea of the equipment that you need for canning, and if you don't know about the equipment, if you go back to the beginning of my channel, the oldest videos, you'll find the equipment list. I did videos to show all the different equipment. And a lot of people think they have to go buy a water bath canner and a pressure canner. But if you get a pressure canner, it can be used as a water bath canner also if it's tall enough. And so go back and watch that video. I think there's actually 2 videos, but watch the videos on beginning, and that will help you to know where to start. And then the other question that he had was, if you don't have a garden, where are you going to get your fresh produce? And so, my thing is, look around your neighborhood and in your area, find the farmer's market, find the food co-ops in your area, local farmers. If you're in a rural area, then no doubt there are local farmers that are growing produce to sell either at the farmer's market or, whatever. But so get to know those people. Find the farmers in your area and get to know them, and you might find somebody that's raising beef. You might find a dairy farmer. And then once you've done that, so that you can buy your produce and your meat and things from area farmers, then the next thing, if you've got the space, then learn to garden. If you just have a patio or a terrace, or, just a small amount of space around your house or whatever, use whatever space you've got and learn to garden. Whether it's, whether you've got a big garden that's plowed and tilled and, and planted with a lot of stuff, or if you're doing it in raised beds, or you might even just be doing a few things in large pots on a patio. Every little bit of food that you can grow is going to make a difference. And so, that would be my next advice, is to learn to grow something. This year, I was telling them that this year I did not grow a garden, but I have a lot of farmers and, farmers markets and the food co-ops in my area that I've been buying from for years. And with what I already had canned, I knew that I could pretty much get the other things that I wanted. Now, will I have a garden next year? Most likely. I'll try to grow something every year. I did have a few strawberries this year. I had some basil and just, a little bit of stuff. And, but anyway, make sure that you learn how to grow some things. And then start out with, make sure that you grow and that you can the things that you and your family like. And you might start out one year with just tomatoes. And, canning tomatoes, you can use tomatoes. And if you've got a canning sieve, then you can put those tomatoes through a sieve to make juice. And you can use those tomatoes or tomato juice in lots of different recipes. And so you could start out with something like that. With tomatoes, you can make salsa. Just lots of uses for tomatoes whenever you're cooking and canning. Green beans, if you can buy, you don't have to buy bushels. Go and get just a small amount of green beans. And a bushel of green beans will usually give you about between 20 and 24 quarts. So if you got, just a third of a bushel or a half a bushel of green beans, then just can those, and that's going to give you between 7 and 10 quarts or maybe 12 quarts of green beans to put on your shelf. And that's how you get started. You're not going to start and just do it all overnight. And so if you've got a pressure canner, another thing you can do is buy some things in the grocery store. Like years ago, I would buy 10-pound bags of carrots in the grocery store. In the wintertime, you can get a good deal on them. And so I would can, and I would buy potatoes in the grocery store and onions in the grocery store. And I would can potatoes and carrots and onions together and have that mix to add to a roast, whenever I was cooking a roast. So look at those things like that. Look for things in your local grocery store that you can put in a jar. Another thing is pinto beans. And if you can pinto beans, then you can also can chili. You can can chili without meat, or you could can chili with meat. As long as you've got a pressure canner, you can do this stuff. So just start small, and then, try to can one thing, and then try to can something else. If your family eats a lot of stuff like jellies and jams and stuff like that, that's a great way to start. Because, of course, that's water bath for the most part. There might be some things that would be pressure canned, but most of the things in jellies and jams is going to be water bath because they're high acid foods. And so that's another good way to start. I don't do much jams and jellies because we just don't eat that much jams and jellies. But start. And, every time you can something different, you're going to get better and better at it. And you're going to get more comfortable with using the canners and with knowing how to do each thing and what needs the pressure canner and what needs the water bath canner. And, if you have questions, if you want to get started, message me. I put my email address in all of the videos, and you can send me an email. And I will answer you. I get messages from people all the time, and I try to walk people through the process. So message me if you need to, and I'll spend the time to help you learn how to get started. So just wanted to talk to you about that today. I've got some upcoming things this week. Right now, I'm fixing to do some more cucumbers in the salt water like I've done before. But I've got 3 boxes of Roma tomatoes in the kitchen right now, and picked up some onions that I'm going to be using in my pasta sauce. So toward the end of the week, you be looking. Those videos are coming. So until the next time, God bless you.